Oh, hello, welcome back to my channel and to another reaction video. This time we continue the Greater Terran Union series. This is part 5.
On October 15th, 2402, a network of atmospheric processors and gravitic anchors were activated across the surface of Mars. While planets had been regularly terraformed to adapt their biomes for human colonization, for the first time, life would be created from lifelessness, and a dead planet converted into a world capable of sustaining colonization by the Greater Terran Union. The terraforming of Mars was hailed across the Union as the start of a new era, a time when scientific and cultural achievements would bring about unfathomable changes to human civilization. Union propaganda had long espoused the idea that there was no barrier that could not be overcome, and although these might have been previously dismissed as high-minded rhetoric, it now seemed to be true. While not quite the dominant hyperpower of explored space, the Greater Terran Union was, at the very least, the equal of any other nation. Every month brought with it new discoveries and innovations. On the world of Mictlan, a planet-wide pedal colony established to house a genetic splinter group of humanity known as the Stellaris, this idea of Terran superiority was challenged. A new type of weapon, theoretically capable of shattering an entire planet, was tested on one of Mictlan's few oceans. The results were promising, but the detonation awoke a race of colossal creatures that had for millennia hibernated in deep caves beneath the planet's surface. For over a month, the citizens of the Greater Terran Union were horrified as Mictlan's cities were demolished by these titans, which raged against both the local garrison forces and each other.
So Godzilla woke
When Land Force Command assembled an army group to take back the planet, however, not even these enormous creatures could endure. Their gigantic carcasses loomed over victorious Union tanks and soldiers, while the largest and most dangerous of these titans were successfully confined to a solitary island, far from any settlement. Even a nationwide cyber attack by Algan separatists, which momentarily disrupted the GTU's communication infrastructure, could not mitigate the feelings of Terran superiority. In 2418, the forces of Fleet Command entered a star system which for over 200 years had been off-limits to everything but automated military reconnaissance craft. Their target was an enormous mechanical construct that had endlessly prowled a graveyard of ruined starships, scavenging amongst the wrecks to find components that would be added to its own patchwork configuration. The battle lasted over 2 weeks, as Terran starships ambushed the Leviathan from within the system's debris field, but in the end, its hull was pierced and its internal mechanisms destroyed. The bounty of the system was claimed, and the remains of fallen service members lost during the initial disastrous conflict with the machine were recovered and finally laid to rest.
Finally.
The other great wonders of the Outer Rim met similar fates. Enormous spaceborne aliens, once avoided at all costs by Terran ships, were systematically hunted down and destroyed. Whatever role they played in the galaxy, whether once great forces in the universe or merely accidents of creation, their time was over. There could be no room for such mysteries within the Greater Terran Union. But one final effort still remained. In London, in an unprecedented assembly of the Union's most powerful leadership, it was unanimously decided that the time had finally arrived. The forces were ready, the interstellar gateway had been repaired, the great counterattack against the Terran could begin. Even as mobilization orders were prepared and warships assigned to their rally coordinates, the plans of the Greater Terran Union were frustrated. The Compact, an alien alliance reduced to a rump state after a series of wars against the GTU, launched a surprise attack across the border territories. Whether they misinterpreted the GTU's military mobilization or hoped to liberate the Union of Nemerium, a Terran puppet state, their forces once more fought a senseless war against the Greater Terran Union. The GTU was forced to delay their plans against the Terran and deal once more with the Compact. But on the far side of the galaxy, in the region of space that for centuries had been ravaged by the Terran, events had begun to play out in a manner the GTU had never anticipated. Alien nations that had suffered as Earth had under ceaseless attacks by the Terran had united under a powerful new federation. Known as the Star Concord, this alliance now represented the most formidable force in the galaxy, dwarfing even the capabilities of the Greater Terran Union. Where once their forces had only sought to repel attacks by the Tyrum, now they embarked on a campaign of liberation, bringing the fight to Tyrum worlds and destroying their war fleets and stations.
Okay.
By the time the Greater Terran Union had once again decisively defeated the Compact, acquiring new territories and worlds in the process, the Star Concord had successfully arrived within striking distance of the Tyrum homeworld. It was at this moment, however, that they stayed their hand. The Tyrum were like no other species ever before encountered. Hive minds, while not common, were also not unknown, but the consciousness guiding the Tyrum could not be reasoned with. It seemed to exist only to destroy, incapable of engaging in any sort of dialogue or diplomacy. Its ships and drones would always attack without fear or any sense of self-preservation. How such a species even managed to develop the sophisticated technology it employed was a mystery. Ruins found on their former worlds led to speculation that the Tyrum had no actual technology of their own, and had, in fact, simply appropriated ships left behind by a race of so-called Old Ones that had either been destroyed by the Tyrum or disappeared for some unknown reason. Whatever their origin, the Star Concord was at a standstill. Sustained orbital bombardment was the only effective tactic against the Tyrum, blasting away their cities until every trace of them had been eradicated. Unwilling to commit the genocide of an entire species, the Concord held a series of conferences, debating the military, cultural, and ethical considerations a defeat of the Tyrum would entail. Diplomats of the Greater Terran Union, present merely as observers, remained on the sidelines of these discussions. Eventually, an agreement was reached. The annihilation of an entire species or world, even those inhabited by a race such as the Tyrum, could not be considered. The Tyrum would be confined to their current borders by force. They would not be permitted to expand, but their current territory would be respected. This decision outraged the Greater Terran Union, and its embassies within the Concord were closed in protest. On May 1st, 2447, probes deployed by the Concord detected a breach of the Tyrum exclusion zone. A force of warships were identified in orbit of the Tyrum homeworld, and reconnaissance craft were sent to confirm these readings. When they arrived, what they found terrified the Concord. The ships detected were not a Tyrum invasion fleet, but instead a Terran battle group, one that had slipped through the gateway and clandestinely maneuvered through Concord's space. At its center was a weapon of colossal power, of a magnitude never before seen in the galaxy. Built in secret within the Sirius system and christened the Sword of Terra, it was already in the process of charging its primary weapon. Horrified Star Concord representatives demanded the Greater Terran Union recall this weapon and its escorts, and personal appeals were made directly to the High Marshal. No reply was given. Instead, footage of the charging weapon was broadcast on every Terran media outlet, directed both at the citizens of the GTU and the entire galaxy.
They're getting revenge, alright.
When the Sword of Terra unleashed its power on the Tyrum's homeworld, the planet's atmosphere was burned away in an instant. Within minutes, its continents had been split apart, and the entire planet was shattered into continent-sized husks that drifted around its dying core. On Earth and its colonies, a few people laughed or cheered. A few people cried. Most were silent.
That would be a hell of a thing to witness that. Habitux Part 5, and yeah, so now the Tyrum homeworld is destroyed. Humanity had their revenge using the Sword of Terra, and yeah, I can imagine if you create a weapon like that, most decent folk would probably be, holy shit, we actually did that, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people were terrified that such a weapon exists. And yeah, I can imagine the rest of the galaxy are now gonna be really afraid. I mean, humanity just committed a genocide. I mean, they did describe that the Tyrum hive mind is controlled by an entity that doesn't really negotiate or anything, they just destroy it. So it might be safer this way. Though I am I'm skeptical that the Tyrum race is completely destroyed. Maybe a piece of it might have survived, and they'll be going for revenge. But yeah, and this other allied force that started the invasion of Tyrum space and whatnot, going as far as bombarding their cities. I mean, they pleaded with the Terran Union not to go through with this, so I can't imagine them being too happy with it. And yet they did mention that their force is even greater than the Terran Union. But yeah, time will tell. Very excited to see how the story will develop. I can imagine anyone be too happy that humanity has built such a destructive weapon. It is definitely a threat to everyone at this point, and the Terran Union isn't exactly shy away of expanding their territory. But yeah, they did have a nice little scuffle at the beginning against the compact, what remains. I don't think the Union was planning to invade them, but they did the mistake of attacking and paid the price once again. But yeah, this one I did not like when they waged war on these mysterious space creatures. Uh, I don't know, I just didn't like didn't like that fact. I think some things just should just be left alone in mystery and stuff. So, but yeah, and at the very beginning they took down the whatever ancient machine. Now this one, I remember the Terran Union tried to take it down in the beginning, but lost a bunch of ships. But yeah, now they got their revenge and claimed the debris field. But yeah, I can see why people were hyped about this episode. This was very entertaining and yeah, a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, what do you guys think? Write your thoughts down below. Hope you enjoyed my reaction. Drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe if you want, and I will see you in another video. Bye.